Hello, everybody. This is Suzanne Shirley. We are live tonight with Millionaire by Halftime. We are one session away from being finished, and we're going to have one more after this. Tonight, we're going to do Chapter 18, which is Team Building 101. The next session that we will do will be the last chapters that we have not done, which will be Chapter 17, Obtaining Huge Results Quickly. I have a lot to say on that because I finished the book already. I can't wait to teach that. And then Chapter 19, Every Team Needs a Captain. So honestly, I think Team Building 101 really does go with Chapter 19, which is Every Team Needs a Captain. But for the sake of the length of the chapter, tonight we're going to skip ahead, do Team Building, and then do the other two chapters we have not done yet. Hold on one second. I have got to get my glasses, and I forgot to do that. So let me grab those. Yeah. I have finally hit the age to where if I don't have these on when I have text in front of me, I have a problem. All right, so, darn it, and I wasn't ready. I have foggy glasses. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to look like a real professional when someone's watching the video playback. Okay, great. This is a very, very important chapter. So I want to talk about it first before we get started. You know, I know that everybody is concerned about building this team because we know in Plexus that, or in network marketing, that that's where the residual income comes in with your team. With Plexus, that is the absolute case because you are paid literally for every team member from levels 1 through 7 that reaches 100 PV every month. You receive Plexus pay points for each one of those ambassadors. It doesn't matter what leg they're in. It doesn't matter if they're by themselves, if they have a team under them, if they're working the business, if they're just buying wholesale. You get credit for any ambassador that hits 100 PV in levels 1 through 7. And our company is so different from other companies that I have actually looked at where that's not the case in other companies. You can have all sorts of people that meet their so-called commission qualification, but you don't get paid for them if they're not in a particular leg that has certain requirements that are met. So I don't want to get off on the compensation plan, but the team building is where you're paid the residual in Plexus. That's where you can literally hang your hat on a peg, hypothetically knowing that every single month you're going to have this check that comes in that's going to be very similar to the one that was the month before, to the month before that. In fact, that check might increase on a monthly basis. It certainly can vary and go up and down, but your team is where you get the meat and potatoes of your salary. I don't want to call it salary, your income, your residual income. That's the meat and potatoes of your income. So when we build a team, there's so many things that are important about it. And I'm going to speak for myself. You know, when I started Plexus and I knew that I was going to build this team, I was always wondering, am I going to have what it takes to make a cohesive team? Am I going to be able to bring people together? Am I going to be able to create an atmosphere where where people rely on each other and not just on me? Do I have what it takes to make people believe in themselves like I do in the classroom with my students? Do I have what it takes to inspire people to surpass me if need be? Because that's what we want. When you create a team, you're going to need to create leaders on your team, and you need to be okay with finding people that are more talented than you. And you need to be able to have the capability to instill in them belief even when they don't have it, so that they can, if they need to or if they want to, pass you up. And so I wondered and I doubted. But once I actually had a team and I had working parts, people that were actually working and building. I know some of you are trying to find builders. You're trying to find people that are business builders, and it is very difficult. Sometimes it takes a year to 2 years, believe it or not, to find real business builders, okay? It depends on how much you're digging. If you know you've got gold in your backyard, I'm pointing to my backyard right here. If you know that you've got gold in your backyard, then you're going to dig like wildfire to find it. But if you don't believe that you have gold in your backyard and you're constantly questioning yourself, is there really gold in my backyard? Then you're not going to dig as fast. And you're going to have roadblocks, and you're going to have stumbling blocks, and you're not going to be digging and stacking up the nose. But if you believe that you have that gold in your backyard, you're going to rack and stack the nose. And you're going to be relentless about it until you build a team of a combination of people that have wholesale buyers and also builders, and then real serious builders, okay? You're going to have different levels of people with different commitments. You're going to have different levels of people with different skill sets. You're going to have different levels of people that have different levels of hang-ups that you have to help them, because you know, if you have studied John Maxwell, some of you are getting ready to study John Maxwell with me. Leaders are not born, they are made. And it takes a leader to create another leader. You know, you don't just get up out of your bed. You know, I shouldn't say it that way. You don't just grow up and you're just this born leader. You know, people have leadership tendencies. They're either strong-willed, they're go-getters, they know how to tell people what to do. They make decisions quickly. They're confident, those types of things. But I want you to understand that that is not what makes a leader. There's so much more that is required of a person to be a leader. It's not a title. It's not a person who manages a bunch of others, who's in charge of a bunch of other people. Just because you're in charge of a bunch of people doesn't make you a real leader. You know, like I said, I think I said in a previous video, some people are really great managers. They're great bosses. They can tell people what to do. Look, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do that. They're good delegators. They can delegate authority. They know, they can see how to manage a situation. That doesn't mean they're a leader. A leader gives up power and gives it to other people. A leader gives up their own power and gives it to other people and allows them to have the power and to feel confident in themselves that they can go. Why did I say all that? Because in order to create a team, you have to be a leader. And a lot of the times you're building a team and you're learning how to be a leader at the same time. You can't get it. You can't learn how to be a leader and then create a team. You have to earn and learn. You have to learn while you earn and earn while you learn. So basically, you're learning and growing into a leader as you are learning and growing into a team. You're building your team at the same time. And I was so worried, am I going to be able to make this thing happen? Let me tell you something. It just happened. It happened. The right people came onto the team, the right people that had the right mindset. Many of them I did not personally sponsor. Many of my big runners are not level 1s. They're level 2s, 3s, 4s. You know that the explosion that happens on your team, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the explosion and the massive exponential growth that happens on your team is levels 5, 6, and 7. I want you to get that. You know, I know that you get more points for levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, but levels 5, 6, and 7 is where the massive explosion is going to take place and where you're going to actually have the majority of your points in your team. If you don't have a large team yet, you will. The more that you stay with this and the more that you dig for that gold that's in your backyard, you have to believe that it's there and you have to dig relentlessly for it. You know, you only have to find 2 really serious, passionate people like yourself, or even more than yourself, and you will be able to walk away from your career, go to the CAR program, and take it all the way to the diamond level if you choose to do so. And you just continue to build from there. You just continue to make it wider and wider and wider as much as you can so that you can continue to grow more teams underneath you. Building a team requires that you know how to connect people. You have to know how to bring people together into a community. You have to be able to encourage communication amongst people. You have to provide an environment that's conducive to communication, that's conducive to cooperation and collaboration. You have to be open to ideas from people that are on your team, ideas that you might not ever be able to come up with on your own. There's going to be people on your team that are going to blow you away with their creativity and their ideas, and you've got to be open for that. Do you want to have your team grow, or do you want to be all in charge? Because if you're going to be all in charge, you're just a manager, you're not a leader. You're not going to grow a team. You need to be open and be collaborative in your perspective and your approach with your team, because some of the people on your team are going to have the most creative ideas ever, and you need to be open to them so that you can have the capability to expand and to grow. You need to be willing to train your team. You have to be dedicated to showing up to events and setting an example. You have to be dedicated to personally recruiting and personally sponsoring on a monthly basis. If you don't, your team is not going to do it. These are just the things that I'm trying to give you as a leader of a team that has created one. And I really do believe that this team that I have is not just because of the work that I've done. It is also because of God. I will tell you that, because I have done the work and I have worked hard and diligently, and I'll continue to work hard and diligently, but I've also done a lot of praying. And every time I get on the phone with someone that I know I'm going to talk to, I do a big praying session. I ask God to give me the right words. I ask God to make sure that the messages come across to where the person knows that they're going to be able to have a new life with this plan. I ask God that if this is the right person, that you open that person's mind and bring them in. I've done a lot of praying. I ask the Lord to bless this team. I ask the Lord to bring the people in that need the help that I personally am supposed to give them, and that other people on this team are supposed to be giving them as well. And I believe that is the thing that Presley leaves out, which I'm going to put in here, is that you've got to pray to bring the right people. As you've got to work as if it depends on you, but pray as if it depends on God. You have to pray. I cannot explain in words how this team has come together. I can't claim it because of my own work. I have to give credit where credit's due, and that means the Lord Almighty in heaven has literally brought together in this team some incredible individuals. And when I hit the rank of Emerald, which is going to be soon, hopefully, and then Sapphire and Diamond, it's going to be because God has brought the most incredible people onto this team. And sometimes it makes my hair raise on end just to think that I didn't have a hand in the particular individuals that are on this team. And I want to say that about every single person that's listening here. It doesn't matter what level you're on. If I personally sponsored you or if someone else has, you're all very, very, very amazing people. You all have a separate skill set. You're all originals. There's no one out there like you. You're meant to be here. I believe that there's a thing called destiny and a thing called, the orchestration of God. I really do believe that He brings this team together, that He has done that. I think that Plexus is a vehicle, honestly, a mechanism or a vehicle on this planet that God has allowed to use in human terms to bless other people and to give them the life that He wants for them. It's a tool that He's provided us on this earth. I really do believe that He's involved in this. So I can't leave out the prayer factor. I wanted to just speak about those things before I get started, because I think that it is the most important thing. When you put your hard work into it, you have to pray. You have to believe that God is in charge of bringing the right people to you. And so when you have that perspective that God is the one that's in charge, when someone ends up quitting or someone ends up not joining your team and they join someone else, or they end up saying something that's not very nice to you or they're hurtful to you, etc., then you can just say, well, it's not meant to be. I really do believe that the people that join are meant to be here. And even some of the people that say no, I get a feeling about people that say no, or the people that turn off, because I'm like, I always tell them, you're going to turn back on again. You're going to need Plexus. You're going to get to a point in your life where you're desperate. And I know that this is the answer, and you do too. You just haven't figured it out yet. So that kind of philosophy or belief is going to be the thing that's going to help you grow your team more than anything, and really believing that God's in charge. And you won't get upset when somebody quits. You won't get upset when they don't join you, because you know God has it in his hands and he's in charge of the whole thing. And it really does comfort you if you think about it that way, because that's what I believe. And it keeps me from getting down on myself. That way I don't have to take full credit if someone doesn't join me. I don't blame myself. They're saying no to the opportunity. They're saying no to Plexus, and they're ultimately saying no to themselves. They're too afraid. They're not ready to make a change. So that's what I wanted to say. All right, so let's get into it. I'm on the wrong thing. Okay, Team Building 101. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. So you can have talent and win a game, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. And that's by Michael Jordan. You can't do it alone. You have to have a team. If you don't have a team, you're not going to go anywhere in this thing at all. At all. Your team is the reason that you rank to a jewel level. You do not rank to jewel by yourself. There's plenty of people out there that I think that have gone emerald by getting levels 1, 2, and 3. They've got a lot of silvers on their team. But at least they've made a bunch of silvers. They have led in a lot of different respects. But ultimately, if you want to reach diamond, you're not going to reach, I guess you could, but you technically need to develop some leaders on your team. All right, if you want to create wealth in networking, you must realize that it's not just about what you do. Massive success in networking is the result of team building. I'm sorry about my dog. Chemo! No. Great. I'm on the video yelling at my dog. Real professional here. All network marketing opportunities are about building a massive team in which each member gathers a handful of customers. It continues to amaze me how many people fail to grasp that concept. It's about a lot of people doing a little bit. Team building and getting to the jewel level and getting to the top of the company is about a lot of people, and I mean massive amounts of people doing just a little bit. Think about that. That's called leverage. We talked about leverage way long time ago. Leveraging your time. It continues to amaze me how many people fail to grasp that concept. It is the network in network marketing that creates the wealth machine. It's the network. So here's a great example of leverage that he wrote here. As I write this, I average about 100 new associates per day. Can you imagine logging into your back office and you have 100 brand new associates? Think about that. That is called leverage 101. You are not sponsoring them yourself. Your team is sponsoring 100 new ambassadors a day, on average, a day. Whoa. Last month, the whole team did 160. I cannot even imagine doing 100 per day. That is mega, mega, mega cash, okay? Mega. So he says, I average about 100 new ambassadors per day joining my network marketing team. Let's just use an example of 2 customers per associate for easy math. Assuming that each one of these 100 associates gathers just 2 customers, that's 200 customers added to my organization every day. How many of us could go out individually and gather 200 customers today? No, it's impossible. Humanly impossible. Much less after day after day after day. You can't build that kind of thing day after day yourself. Forget it. So it's an attraction business. If you are serious, everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know you're serious if you are. Okay? you are going to attract people to yourself. So if you have a dream, okay, you will know where you are going, and so will every person around you. Everybody's going to be informed about what you're doing. Everyone will know it because you're going to be telling everybody about it. You will send out a message to people that you talk to, okay? You're going to let them know you're on a mission, that you are going somewhere in life. You're going to send that message to every person that you come in contact with. Your message will be, quote, I'm on the road to success. And if you join my team, you can be successful too. I want to tell you something. That was my attitude day one. I had nobody on my team. That was my attitude on day one. If you have that attitude, you will attract people to yourself. That's an attraction market. You don't control that. That's just something that's going to happen as a result of you having that relentless belief in yourself. We are in the attraction business, and we must make our business exciting to attract people onto our team. I always say, if you are fired up, people will come from miles around to watch you burn. You know, everybody out there on social media lives a very ho-hum life. They live a mediocre life. They live for the weekends. They go on vacation if they're lucky once a year. They go into debt to do it. They charge their credit cards if something breaks. They don't hardly have a savings at all. If not, they're in debt. They don't know how they're going to retire. They get sick. They can't explain it. Their kids need things they can't buy for them. But yet, here's this person over here who's going for the stars and says it every day on Facebook. Watch me or join me. Either way, I'm doing it. Have fun. If you don't want to join me, you're going to sit back and watch me. That's original. That is uncommon. People are fascinated by someone who says, I'm doing this, and they are doing it. People are curious, even the ones like me who are so skeptical that they unfollow their sponsor. I unfollowed Christine for months, but don't you know that I wanted to see what she was up to, and I went and clicked on her page just to see some of her posts every now and then. I didn't want to see it in my newsfeed every time I opened Facebook. That bugged me. I didn't like it. But I still was curious, and I went and looked at what she was doing. And when something about what she was doing intrigued me, I voice texted her, or I texted her. And I said, what are you doing with that? Did that really happen? Are you serious? That really happened? And she would always say, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I bought that. Yeah, I did that. You know, one more thing just to add to the list and the pile of that intrigued me and made me curious. So people are fascinated by other people who are going someplace in life. Why? Because nobody else is. Nobody else is fascinating. No one else has a soul that's on fire and passionate about something. So be that passionate soul on fire that says, I'm doing this. Join me or watch me. Watch what happens when you're bold like that and you believe in yourself. I'm telling you, you will attract people from all sorts of places. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. That's what happened to me. That's what happened. I believed so strongly that these people just wanted to join me because they believed me when I said I was going to do it. I wasn't putting on a show. I actually did believe I was doing it. And I still do. So there's a girl that I talked to today at lunch, and she has been approached by so many different other network marketing friends of hers that are in other kinds of companies, not necessarily supplemental companies, but other companies, skincare companies, other kinds of companies, and they are successful individuals. These are people that are getting, this one individual that she knows got the car in the car program with this other company, and she's being heavily recruited by that girl. And guess who she's going to join? She's going to join me because she knows that this is a type of a company that has the products that change lives, not just your skin on the outside, but what's on the inside. She knows that these are consumable products that people are dying and desperate for. And she sees the financial opportunity that I explained to her that's unlike what she saw in this other one. And you know what else she said to me? I know that I can trust, you would never have left teaching. You never would have left if this weren't something that was real. So what I'm trying to tell you is that people will join you. Okay? People will join you. I'm going to go back and mute. There's someone else that's joined us. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say. I know I'm chasing rabbits tonight, but I think that you need to hear these things. We must think big, because those who think big attract successful people. You got to think big, because when you think big, you're going to attract people, successful people. You want successful people on your team. You don't want somebody that needs a break, that needs a leg up, that you have influence over. Why don't you talk to people and attract people that you don't really have the influence? In other words, they would have influence over you. They're more successful than you. That's the type of person you want to attract. That's why you got to get over your fears and get rid of your inhibitions and start believing and going at this and attacking it like there's no tomorrow, because you literally have the vehicle to take you from where you are to where you want to go. But the only thing that's stopping you is you. That's the truth. So it's an attraction. We must put the fun back into fundamentals. Additionally, we must create a sense of urgency. So create an atmosphere where we are going to do something great now. Like now. It's going to happen urgently, like now. We are in the attraction business. So the 4 things you need to do, okay? If you're fired up, people will come from miles around to watch you burn. That's what Presley Swagerty said. The 4 things you're going to need to do is make your business exciting, think big, put the fun back in the fundamentals, and create a sense of urgency. When you do those 4 things, you're going to attract people. So you need to create a particular type of culture for your team. People want to feel as though they're a part of something bigger than themselves, in which the associates grow. They have a place to grow and plant themselves, that they can become connected, that they feel like they're a part of the team that's going somewhere. So do you feel that way? You need to ask yourself that question right now. Do you feel like that's how you feel on this team? I mean, you're going to critique me by answering that question, because I'm the one that has to create that culture. You need to feel like you're a part of something that's bigger than yourself, something that gives you a place to grow, a place that you can feel connected, that you feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself that's literally on a mission that's going someplace. I hope that you do feel that way about this team. It's all about the culture, and you have to create the culture. The culture is what inevitably builds momentum. I'm going to stop there for a second. The culture on your team that you create is going to build the momentum. What is the culture? A culture of servant leadership. That you are a leader, but you are a servant. You're not a boss. You serve, you are there to serve others. An atmosphere of personal growth. Notice how I make this team all about we've got to grow, we've got to learn, we've got to become better than ourselves. A team of integrity, where we do the right thing when no one's looking and no one's watching. We don't talk about people behind their backs, and we don't backstab, and we always put others before ourselves. A team of integrity. A team of strong work ethic. A team of strong work ethic. Sets high standards, right? And a team that follows a simple system. 3-way calls, 3-way chats, 3-way Zooms, new ambassador training, opportunity events every month at the same day, the same time. an events calendar, a system. That's our system right now. I'd like to create a new ambassador system. The one that I tried failed miserably. And that's okay. At least I tried something, but it didn't work. It was something that works for another team, but I'm not the leader of that team. That other person's the leader of that team, and that system didn't work for us. So currently, I am working on creating a system for new ambassadors that you guys can plug your new ambassadors into. And it's not going to be tomorrow or by the end of the month that it's created, but it's in the works. Right now, we're planning it. I'm planning it. So, team culture. The cultural fabric of servant leadership, personal growth, integrity, work ethic, and following the simple system is of prime, utmost, imperative importance. It's got to be done. You've got to put those things first. Our culture is what makes us winners and what ensures that we rise to the top. It helps us achieve greatness and lead the crusade against debt and financial worries. Oh, I love that statement. It helps us achieve greatness and lead the crusade against debt and financial worries. In short, culture is who we are, meaning our core values, where we are going, which is the crusade itself, the mission, and how we will get there, which is the system. Those are the three components of the culture. It's who we are, it's where we're going, and how we're going to get there. So in other words, it's our values, it's the mission, and the system. Okay, that's our culture. Now, David Adams has a story, and I think it's important to read his story. Okay, so it's called Tina Turner, Trey Dyer, and the Day My Business Changed. I can remember the day my network marketing business changed forever. There I was, sitting second row. The room was packed. The business associates squeezed into their chairs and lined the walls to hear the great Trey Dyer speak from the stage. Trey had just broken into the prestigious top 10 money earners list inside our billion-dollar company. Out of 250,000 plus entrepreneurs, Trey was in the top 10. But how? How? He was from a small town, so was I. He had joined our company late, so did I. He had never done network marketing before, neither had I. So how did Trey break into the elite top 10? What was his secret? As Trey took the stage, the loudspeakers blasted Tina Turner's Simply the Best. Remember that song? Yeah? That hit single. For a few moments, think about standing on the stage and Tina Turner singing Simply the Best. Whoa. What an ego booster, right? And on the inside, if that were me, I'd be like, simply a failure who did 1,000 times the things wrong, right? Whose team got her here on the stage. That's what I would be thinking. I couldn't stand up there with Tina Turner saying Simply the Best. That would be very difficult for me. I can't stand that idea, actually. But it sounds amazing when you think about it. For a few moments, our crowd of normal, everyday business professionals morphed into 13-year-old schoolgirls clamoring for Justin Bieber, right? Chills came over me. Trey had hit the rock star status in our company, and I was determined to hear exactly how he did it. So Trey's small 5'10" frame beamed with confidence as he reached the microphone, and he had a contagious smile, sort of like a childlike grin that communicated, I got something special to share with you today. His smile captivated the crowd. Everybody hushed, and Trey, with a warm Southern Texas drawl, began sharing his story. To this day, I will never forget the most of what he said. Oh, no, said that wrong. To this day, I forget most of what he said. In fact, I only remember one sentence from his 30-minute monologue, and here's the sentence. But the one thing that he remembered was pivotal. And it effectively turned my business completely into a new direction. So let me share that statement with you, says Presley Swagerty. Here it is, boom. The difference between a team of 100 and a team of 10,000 is culture. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. Culture. It's this elusive thing that you have to create, but it requires so many multifaceted, so many different components, right? The difference between a team of 100 and a team of 10,000 is a culture. You've got to be able to create that culture. What is culture? Culture defined. I'd heard that word before, culture. What did that mean in the circle of networking? Was this new insight? What's the deal? Later that night, I went to the internet to get a firm definition of culture, and I found this, quote, culture is the attitudes and behavior characteristics of a particular social group. So in essence, Trey had purposefully instilled behaviors and attitudes into his team that he was crediting for his success. He purposely instilled behaviors and attitudes into his team. Okay? What were they? What attitudes? What behaviors? Looking for an answer had only led me to more questions. So, on purpose or by default? As I rode home on the plane after the event, Trey's quote had my head spinning. By its definition, I realized that my team had already had a culture. It already had a culture, and by the way, yours does too. It already has a culture. What is that culture? We've got to figure that out. Okay? My team already had an attitude. It already had a culture. By default, we were already acting a certain way. Yikes. For example, my team did not value big events. They didn't value them at all. My communication to my teammates in the past was something like, come when or if you can. That's not going to do it. Events were just not that important. Another great example is how we treated the idea of personal growth. Non-existent, right? Yes, I was undergoing a personal transformation by listening to audio programs and reading good books. However, at the time, I thought that was just for me. I didn't need to bother my teammates with it. That's how I felt. Yikes. Yikes. So at the top of my journal page, I wrote, quote, my team's current culture. The laundry list included everything you do not want a team to be. Evidently, by not being purposeful about my attitudes and behaviors that we stood for as a team, a laundry list of apathetic qualities had taken root by default. I was reminded of Jim Rohn, who quoted, if you rest too long, the weeds take the garden. Yikes, how true. That is true. On the plane ride, I realized that every team, my team included, already has a culture. And like a garden, if we have not planted and fertilized what we want, then what we don't want takes over, like the weeds. Okay? You have to take charge of the vision of your team. You have to take charge of the attitudes of your team. You have to take charge of the beliefs and the practices of your team. You must instill them over and over and over, verbally and by action. Verbally and by action. In other words, you're doing them yourself, and then they see it. They see you doing it, and then they do it. You tell them to do it, and they will do it. But listen, they're going to do 50% of what you do, and they're only going to do 10% of what you say. I didn't create that, by the way. I heard that on MLM Nation by some amazing network marketing guru. And that's the truth. Your team will do 50% of what you do and 10% of what you say. More is caught than taught. If you're not going to events, your team won't go to events. If you don't show up to trainings, your team's not going to show up to trainings. If you're not active on the team page, your team will never be active on your team page. If you're not personally sponsoring, your team will never personally sponsor. They're going to sit around and do whatever you do. I'm just trying to hit that home. Okay. So, on that plane ride, I committed to developing a strong team culture of attitudes and behaviors that would lead to better results. It just made sense that if there was going to be a culture anyway, it might as well be the one that leads to duplication and wealth. Why not? Why not have the one that leads to duplication and wealth instead of apathy and being broke? At the time, I began a journey to develop such a culture. I became a student of the dozens of leaders who were more successful than I was. What exactly did they do? What attitudes did they encourage? What actions? What behaviors? I would begin by learning more about Trey Dyer. What kind of guy was he? What does he say? What does he do? What are his practices? What are his actions? Very quickly, I noticed something profound. Trey Dyer was no genius. Trey Dyer simply modeled after other successful people. He, like I did, studied the cultural aspects of other successful leaders in our profession. Do you study Tamara Holloway? Do you study Sonia Dudley? Do you study Tammy Yancey? Do you study Rebecca Folks? Do you study Natalie Fowler in Canada? Do you study Sarah Marble in Louisiana? You know what I did? Brand new ambassador. I went and found out the jewels on all the diamond documentaries. I wrote their names down. I watched their diamond documentaries. I figured out where they were located. I went to YouTube and did a search for their name. And whoever had a YouTube page with lots of videos, guess what I started to do? Watch them over and over and over and over again and take notes. And if I found a video that was compelling to me, that I knew would teach to my team, I made a video to my team on the same topic. What am I doing? I'm duplicating diamond ambassadors. They are successful. They've already got the roadmap to success. They're already doing it. Why do I need to do something different? I'm going to do the same thing they're doing. You duplicate successful people. You go and find out what they're doing and you duplicate it. Okay? That's what you do. I'm not telling you some major, massive secret. It's the truth. You have to be that type of person that says, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Go find out who are the successful people and go and do what they do. Literally do what they do. Personally in your own business and for your team. The reason that we have opportunity events is because of Melissa Eichenhorst. The reason that we have Plexus 101 is because of Sarah Marble and her rockin' network marketing team. The reason that we have Power Weeks is, I don't know why. Where do we get that idea? That's the first thing we started. The reason why we have an event calendar is because of Sarah Marble and Melissa Eichenhorst. The reason why we're doing the 21 Laws of Leadership is because of Melissa Eichenhorst. She spoke to that in convention 2015 to the Jewels. And I listened to her message 10 times over, sitting at my desk while I graded papers as a teacher. And I knew in the bottom of my heart, if I didn't start that 21 Laws with my team, I would never have leaders on my team. I would just have a bunch of followers. That's why we do the 21 Laws in the spring and in the fall. I do it twice a year with my team. I've already done it 3 times. We're getting ready to do it again. And we're going to do it again in the spring. And I don't care what level anyone's on, we're going to do it. Whoever is working their business, I don't care what level, what rank. If you're working and you're committed and you want to grow and you want to become a leader, then you're going to be asked to be on this thing. I can't have 15, 20 people in the 21 Laws group. Otherwise, I'd have a lot of people that I would ask, but I can't ask everybody right now. So if you haven't been asked, you might want to mention that to me and maybe you can be in next spring. Okay? Okay, very quickly, I noticed something profound. Trey Dyer was no genius. We already did that. Okay, he talks about the shopping cart. When we look at the vast possibilities of attitudes, qualities, actions, and behaviors that we can use to build a strong team culture, the possibilities are endless. I relate this to shopping at the grocery store. With 10,000 different items to select from, each leader is going to select items for his or her shopping cart in accordance with his or her individual personality and philosophy. That's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. I went and looked at all the different leaders in Plexus on all their YouTube channels, and I watched so many of their videos, and I related to this one more than that one. I liked this one more than that one. I related to their teaching philosophy. I related to their attitude. I related to their personality more. And so I molded and shaped some of their things to the things that I believed in that I wanted for my team. That's exactly what I did. What I put in my buggy isn't necessarily what's right for you and your situation. And the reverse is true. And guess what? It's okay. Do you know that Cassie Rainey is an incredible, amazing young woman who is a wonderful leader, but she's completely opposite in personality from me and has a different leadership style. And guess what? That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And whoever wants to learn from her can learn from her. And whoever wants to come over here and learn from me can learn from me. And it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Let me share with you 8 things that he says are imperative to a team culture that's going to be working. You got to have these 8 things. Having high energy, having fun, learning and growing. I've broken them all down, by the way. Recognizing people. Number 5, personally sponsoring and producing. Number 6, promoting. Number 7, going to events. Number 8, being involved. Those are the 8 things. So I'm going to try to get through those in the next 20 minutes, and I'm going to hold myself to it. Okay, decide today that you're going to be a high energy person. If you're not high energy, you're going to have to make a decision and make yourself that way. It's a decision. It takes a moment to decide to do this. 1 moment. Decide now that you're going to be a person of strong, positive, high energy. The sooner you make that decision, the sooner your business will explode. High energy. Whenever somebody walks next to me, Suzanne, will you please slow down? Lord, are you going to a fire? Okay, well, that's my personality. But you know what? High energy. Do you know how much it bugged my students first hour when I would come in there at 8 o'clock and they were barely keeping their heads off their desk? Okay, here we go. We're getting ready to have an amazing day. And they're like, what did you just take? Some energy drink, Miss Shirley? No, I'm just high on life and I love what I do. Be a high energy person. Decide to do that. So here's somebody that says, Larry, you have no idea how tired I am. Yesterday, a lady kept yapping about who knows what and this and that and the other. If that's the type of conversation you have with people on your team, no one's going to be inspired by you. Nobody. Here's what a high energy person says when they call you up on the phone. Hey, Maria, it's great to hear from you. How was your weekend? Do you see the difference between that? High energy. According to Art Williams, winners stay excited for as long as it takes. It's time to make a decision to get excited and stay excited. And come on with energy, no exceptions. Presley has always taught, if you want your team to be excited, then you got to be excited. Hey, you want your team to be excited? You got to be excited. You can't expect your team to do anything you're not doing. Having fun. Number 2, people who play together stay together. Now, here's the thing. If I could get together a big society for us to meet and go have coffee and dinner and that kind of thing, you know, I can do that with my local team. But my team is all over the country. So the only way I can do that is when I travel to their location and we do meetings and we go out and have dinner together. But you know what? If you can play with your team, and there are certain aspects that I know on this team, I know my Tulsa team gets together in their little factions and they meet and they have breakfasts and dinners and they have get-togethers. And the team that plays together is going to stay together. You got to make sure you're having fun. You got to make sure that you love what you do. Number 2, you don't take yourself too seriously. Don't take yourself so seriously. Not taking yourself too seriously is a sign of good self-esteem and confidence, right? A leader with high self-confidence has the ability to laugh at his or her own mistakes all the time. Can you imagine how many times? Okay, I almost tripped in front of my class, or I did trip, or I fell down, or I didn't zip up my pants, or after I went from the restroom, or I did something even worse, like I burped or something worse than that, and somebody heard me, and I just had to just laugh it off. I mean, I'm a human being, and that's just what we do. You have to just stop taking yourself so seriously. Stop worrying about what people are going to think that you sound like on a video. Stop worrying about the terminology that you use. Sometimes I watch my videos back, and I'm slurring my words together, and I say, getting instead of getting, or taken instead of taking, or whatever else, got to get to instead of I must go to or I must get to. You know, I mean, that's what we do. You just have to accept yourself the way you are and get over it. right? Tell stories of their own misfortune to humor your teammates and encourage them. Tell them your own blunders. Disarm them so that they're not going to be so worried about how they are perceived by their audience. And coordinate your team parties. Coordinate parties together. Collect some stories that you can tell. And celebrate successes with your team. Talk about all the amazing things they do. And then get paid. Get freaking paid, man, right? Help your teammates get paid. That's a culture of fun. And then number 7, have a meeting after the meeting. So whenever you go to a meeting, this is what I always do when I go to a meeting and I go out of town. We have an opportunity meeting, we have a training, and then we go out and have dinner. We go out and spend some time together. I mean, how boring would it be if I just went over there to train with them? I'm there to get to know them. I'm there to get to spend some time with them and pour my life into them and hear what they're doing, hear their life stories, what's entertaining them and making them happy and sad and tearful this week. You know, that's the thing that matters to me. Okay, number 3 aspect, learning and growing. You got to learn and grow. Jim Rohn says, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. That's why we do book after book after book in this team. You know, when I teach something, I'm going to learn something. So I'm going to keep doing books. We're never going to stop doing books in this team. Learning and growing, very important. Have a change of attitude. Learn how to change your attitude. Darren Hardy, in an interview with Eric Worre on the networkmarketingpro.com, Darren Hardy is a famous author and he's incredible. He's a networker. People join network marketing companies for the money and for the opportunity, but they stay because of the relationships and the personal growth. Once a teammate joins, as leaders, it's imperative that we bring him or her into a culture of personal growth. People will stick around because they feel like they're really growing and they're learning and they're becoming a better person because they're in this team. And that's attractive to a human soul. A human soul desires to grow and to be fed, right? And that's what makes life meaningful. You're meeting the personal needs of the person. Okay, and I wrote BAM out to the side on this one. And we do this because we know personal growth is the glue that can keep a teammate from quitting. Personal growth is the glue that keeps a teammate from quitting. I know this because I talked to so many of you out there, and I don't know if the person is on here tonight, but there's a person that has told me that has grave problems in their lives. I mean, grave things to get over, things that are just terrible that happened in their past. But they said to me, Suzanne, I will never quit Plexus because I'm becoming this new person. And it might take me forever to get where I want to go, but I will never stop. Why? They're growing. They're not where they used to be, you know? They're not a millionaire, but they're become a new person. Physically, emotionally, mentally, they're growing. We start a team culture of personal growth and self-development by growing ourselves. You got to grow yourself and then help your team to grow. Grow with your team at the same time. There's nothing wrong with that. Jim Rohn likes to use the word let's. Let's go do this, not you go do it. There's nothing inspiring about, hey, you go do something. It's let's together. Let us go do it. Okay? So, oh, this one's good. The books you don't read will not help. Oh, wow. The books that you don't read will not help. That was by Jim Rohn. Not being a good reader is no excuse. That's why they make books on CD. That's why there's podcasts, MLM Nation, right? For people like us who don't like to read, who are busy driving and working out and cooking dinner. You can listen to something. You can watch a video or listen to a video. Literally, we have no excuse, not one. Get yourself and your teammates on a path of personal development. Once you taste the progress, you will be hooked. Trust me. Your team is going to have explosion as a result of personal growth. Recognition, you got to recognize people. Randy Gage, in his book, How to Build a Multi-Level Money Machine, talks about the Army in a powerful comparison to network marketing profession, says that what really motivates soldiers to endure through hardships and enemy fire is the recognition of fellow soldiers, recognition of other soldiers on their team. People, no matter what they tell you, they crave praise. They crave it. They don't just want it. They crave it. They're dying for it. Okay? I've learned to satisfy my personal craving by dishing out recognition and praising my teammates. Jim Rohn says, be so busy giving others recognition that you don't need it for yourself. Okay? If you're on a conference call with your teammates, give a shout out. This one did this. That one did that. Have you noticed that I do that a lot? And I'm not doing that strategically. I just love to say, hey, such and such did a great job this week. Such and such blew it out of the water. Such and such just has changed so much. I'm so proud of what they've done this week, or how they've become, or how they've grown. You know, that just comes naturally. I'm a teacher, and I know that that has really worked miracles for my students. And it just, I'm really happy to see. I like to celebrate people's successes. Handwritten notes are nice. What you do is when you recognize something incredible that someone's done on your team, you're encouraging duplication. Do you know that? Atta girl, such and such just made a video and posted it on her page. She's got 50,000 likes and 20 million comments. Guess what? Everybody's going to see that you're recognizing that. Maybe I should make a video too and put it on my page. No way, really? Yeah. When you give shout outs for things that you think are incredible, that encourages duplication on your team. Okay, moving on. Personally sponsoring and producing. We know this. This is a given. Monthly newsletter announcing sponsoring. Maybe you should send out a monthly newsletter on our team pages. What we do is sometimes we recognize this one did sponsor this many. This one has a PV higher than whatever. We do the PV list. By the way, do you know how hard that is to do? Oh my word. Especially with the back office that doesn't help us do that. So you've got to create a culture of production, of producing. So many of us, myself included, says Presley, fall into the management mode. It's easy, and I do that too. You get into personal sponsoring and you're recruiting and recruiting and recruiting, and then you get exhausted, and then you say, oh, take a break. And then you think that you're still working because you're managing your team. You're answering questions. You're posting on the team page. You're coming up with a new contest. You've got an idea to help this one and that one. And you get on the phone and encourage this one and that one. And you know what? Not that that's not income producing, but you get into management mode and you're not recruiting anymore. You're not prospecting. And you've got to stay in a prospecting mode. You can't just, and it's so hard to do that. It's just human nature. It's human nature, but you've got to realize that that must be your one of your number one priorities is personally sponsoring. Sponsor and announce it. When you sponsor somebody, you announce it on the team page. Let everybody know you've done it. You're going to encourage them to duplicate it. I'm going to move on. If we want a culture of production, the only way to achieve this is by example. We've got to get out there and produce ourselves. I encourage you to embrace a culture of producing and personally sponsoring. After all, of all the attitudes and characteristics that one might embrace, this one pays the best. Hello. Personally sponsoring is going to get you paid. Promoting. Okay, the story of Ryan Morris that Ryan Morris shared with me. He says, Ryan's friend and phenomenal mentor. Here's what Ryan told me. David, before I made it to the level of senior director, my upline leader would call me weekly, and all I would hear is senior director, senior director, senior director, senior director. Click, hang up. What does that say? You know, that means rank up, rank up. I'm thinking about ranking up. You got to rank up. You got to rank up. He's not saying do it for me. He's saying do it for you. Think about ranking up. I'm thinking about you ranking up. You got to rank up. It's important that we as leaders decide that the status quo is not okay. On our team, you promote to the next level. That's what we do. You go for the next level. You don't stick around wherever you're at. You would be wise to adapt this phrase as part of your team's culture. On our team, you promote to the next level. That's what we do. There's the phrase, okay? If you're not growing, you're dying. There's another phrase. If you're not growing, you're dying. So it seems that there's no staying the same. Whether you're moving forward or you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. Did you know if you're not moving forward, you really are going backwards? Ouch. It's the truth though, okay? Embrace a culture of promotion on your team. Get to the next rank. Celebrate teammates who are promoted. In fact, over-celebrate it. Make it the biggest deal ever. I would dare say that there's no such thing as over-celebrating a promotion, because when you rank up and when people are ranking up on your team, guess who else is going to be ranking up? The rest of your team. They're going to be dying to get that rank promotion too. It creates duplication. Momentum is created by ranking up, okay? Go to the events. Get yourself to events. You build the business event to event. Events are when someone hopes turns into beliefs. Their hopes literally turn into belief, okay? Typically, it's an event when a teammate will commit to his or her own success. He makes the decision to go from poser to an apprentice. He decides that he wants to be a professional. At the events, someone who once was wishy-washy becomes rock solid. Teammates collect stories of other people like themselves, and those stories give them hope that they did not have before. Events are masterminds. When teammates share ideas and collaborate with one another, events are when a teammate buys in and jumps to a new level. A good team leader builds event to event. You're always talking about the next event. You're always talking about the next thing that's coming up. Okay, leaders retreat. Okay, next thing, convention, Super Saturday. We're always talking about the next thing that's coming. And then you're going to yourself, okay? You're going to yourself, to the event. That's what I mean. Your results are that your team is going to grow and expand. Here's a few things you can do to help develop events in your culture. Communicate well, connect early, tell stories of real people who went to certain events and how they saw great rewards afterwards. Go there yourself. Establish more efficient and cost-effective way for your team to attend there. If it's hard to get there because of a plane travel or whatever, get a bus, get some people and get all down there together. Find some way to get people together and get there inexpensively. Be involved. Here's the next one, number 8. This is the last one. I would host massive parties. Everybody had a good time at these big old parties. The reason was that everybody was involved. Each attendee felt that he had a purpose. I realized back then that simply inviting people to a party was not enough. I had to give them more. I had to get them involved. Do you know that Tamara Holloway and several can't talk. Hang on. We're almost done. Tamara Holloway and several other jewels. Not every jewel does this. Tamara Holloway is a Diamond Ambassador, and she does rockstar retreats. Rockstar retreats for her leaders. Anybody that's, I guess, some rank and above. She has those people, and she pays for the whole thing. The hotel, the meals, the incidentals. She gets gifts for them. And she has a retreat, and she literally pays for play. She takes an entire weekend, turns it into play, and she pays for it. Okay? Christine is duplicating that. For the very first time, she's taking anybody that's Ruby and above that qualifies by the end of October 31st on a thing called a Rockstar Retreat on the first week of December. So if you rank to Ruby by October 31st, you can be at her Rockstar Retreat. She's going to pay for the whole weekend. It's going to be in Dallas. She's going to buy gifts for people, pay for meals. We're going to have dinners together. We're going to stay in a nice hotel. She's going to take us shopping, and we get to buy a gift. I mean, that is not called for. You don't have to do that for your team. Okay? But those people that play together will stay together. What's other things you can do on a lower level? Conference calls. Start making videos for your team. Get conference calls together. You know, freeconferencecall.com. Freeconferencecall.com. Easy. That's what I did in the beginning. I did conference calls. I signed up for an account. I posted on the team page and said, here's the monthly conference call. And you just had everybody listen to it. And they would just listen to it and play back. Team parties. Start a book club like we're doing right now. Another good way to get others involved is ask them to share their stories in a group setting. I don't know if you guys remember this. We're almost done. I got us everybody together, all my runners, all the big runners on the team. At one point, it's been months ago, it was last fall, I got everybody together, and all we did was a Zoom where everybody told their story. What brought you to Plexus? Who are you? What's your family like? What do you do for a living? What are your dreams? What brought you to Plexus? And what do you want Plexus to do for you? And it was inspiring. I'll never forget that Zoom. It was incredible. Okay, in conclusion. Oh my word. What is this, a 14-hour Zoom? 9:08 p.m. In conclusion, your team already has a culture. You already have a set of attitudes and behaviors that you've adopted either on purpose or by default. It takes a leader to step out onto the plate and create a new team culture. You are the leader. It is up to you. It's not up to your sponsor. It's not up to your company. It's up to you. Take the lead. Be the leader. Be the one who decides what attitudes and behaviors that you're going to accept on your team. To start, write down what your current culture is like. Be honest. If it's one of apathy, like mine was, well, write down what you are. Write it down. Then spend the next hour describing the perfect team culture. Design your team's future. What does it look like? If you can design it, you can achieve it. But it starts with the design. It starts with you knowing exactly what core attitudes and behaviors that you want and to plant in your garden. Plant those attitudes. Plant those behaviors. Weed out the rest. Eric Worre in GoPro says, it takes 1 year to really establish any aspect of your team's culture. I agree. Your team's culture is not built overnight. It takes a leader, that's you, knowing what you want and then working hard for a year to instill what you want into your team's culture. It's worth it, and you are worth it. I wish you the very best, says David Adams. Now, all that was from David Adams. Get yourself a system. You got to have a system. I'm going to read this one thing about the system. You have to have 4 things that is a cycle of duplication. Sponsoring new associates, teach them your system, help them get started, and then repeat it. Sponsor new associates, teach them the system, help them get started, repeat. We recruit joiners to find leaders. We recruit joiners to find the leaders. You're not going to go out and find leaders. You're going to recruit some joiners, and then you're going to find your leaders among them. We look for leaders who will find other leaders who will find other leaders. It's not so much about how many associates you have on your team, but how many leaders you have on your team. The more people who we sponsor and teach, the more leaders we will find. The bigger our team will grow and the larger our income will be. The bottom line is that we will sort through lots of duds to find a few studs. You're going to sort through a lot of duds to find a few studs. You're going to recruit and recruit and recruit, and then you're going to find your leaders among your recruits. Okay? That's what always happens. Reggie Jackson says, a great manager has a knack for making ball players think that they're better than they are. You've got to make people think that they can do anything. You have to believe in them. You got to see things in them that they don't see in themselves. Have a meeting after the meeting. We already talked about it. Believe in your team. Don't ever be negative with any person, ever. Don't let a hint of negativity. I don't care if you feel that way. I don't care if it's the truth. You don't say it. You don't do it. You don't be negative with anybody on your downline, anybody on your team. If you have something to complain about, which you shouldn't, because this is incredible, this whole thing that we're in, complain upline. Don't complain downline. It's a cancer. Be positive at all times talking to your downline. There are so many people in network marketing who are successful for one main reason. Someone believed in them more than they believed in themselves. Somebody gave them the positive strokes that they need. The power of someone's believing them gave them enough push to find their success. In networking, one of the most important leadership attributes is to believe in your team even more than they believe in themselves. See what's in there that they don't see. Recognize them. This is the only industry where recognition really takes place. Recognize your people. If they posted on Facebook for the first time, recognize it. If they just sponsored their first ambassador, recognize it. If they just got a new customer, recognize it. If they just got their first 500 PV ever, recognize it. Go out there and share it with the world. Be excited for your team. And that excitement is going to produce momentum and hunger for more. Do your conference calls. Do your videos with your team. It's a great way to stimulate activity. It makes people feel special. Make participation in the leadership conference calls contingent on reaching certain leadership levels. If you want to rank up, you got to be on the call. Remember how I always say, if you want to go up, you got to show up. You got to show up to go up. You got to show up to trainings to go up. I'm almost done. I said that before, didn't I? I believe that when you attend big events, every great leader in network marketing has his or her fire fully lit at a big event. So you go to the big events, you're going to have your fire lit. So get yourself to all the big events and get your team there. Raise people's awareness that what they have become a part of is bigger than they are. You're going to do that when you get to them to the events, okay? The coach's rule for big events: all great leaders in network marketing are promoters. They're always promoting the next big event, the next biggest event in company history, because it is. This is the biggest event in company history, right? Strong leaders understand that belief, inspiration, duplication, and commitment are the results of attending big events. Rule number 1, you got to go yourself. Rule number 2, you don't go alone. You get your people there. Rule number 3, you get yourself on that stage. And let me tell you something. The last time I was at convention, I was way out in the audience. Sorry, the very first time I was at convention, way out in the audience with 3 team members that I brought. I got 3 people with me, but I was sitting way back. This next convention we just went to, they gave the senior rubies a close seat by the stage. Don't you think I wanted to be closer to the stage? Absolutely. I'm going to get closer to the stage. And the next one, I'm going to be on it. Boom, chakalaka. Because I want you guys to be on it too. And if I don't get on that stage, how in the world do I expect you guys to want to get on the stage? Not for recognition, but for achievement. Okay? Achievement. You got to walk the stage, and then you got to help other people walk the stage. And we are done. Jim Rohn just says, be so busy giving other people recognition that you really don't need it for yourself. I think that is so important. Okay? So do the homework and really look at your culture of your team right now. Where is it? Do the steps that are on page 171. Take an inventory of your team culture. Do what it says here. Do you have a team name? How big is your team? What do you want it to be in 5 years? Where do you want it to be next year? How many teammates will attend the next event? I mean, really, if you want to look at these questions right here are imperative that you ask yourself about your team. How does my team interact with one another? How do I communicate with my group? What can we do to get the new person paid quickly? You got to get people to silver, people. You got to get your new ambassadors to silver. That's your number 1 goal, besides personally recruiting. What standards will I set as a leader? What activities do we prohibit on our team? Ooh, big. What will you not tolerate, right? In what ways do we keep all things simple? In what ways do we encourage personal development? What can make us unique as a group? What activities should we celebrate and how? How do we make this business the most fun? And what is a compelling mission that our team can really rally behind? These are the things you've got to analyze about your current team, because you already have a culture. You've got to figure out what it is, and then you've got to decide what you want it to be, and then you've got to start making it and molding it into that. So I'm not going to read all the rest of this. I think this is an incredible chapter. I'm going to go to gallery, and I'm going to unmute. And I am sorry that it is 17 minutes after the hour. I really am sorry about it. But I think that I really am. But I think that this is important. Team culture, I mean, you all have teams at various places. It's important.
My favorite one so far.
Really? You guys say that every time. You're so sweet.
I don't know. I think I see some things. You know, that my team that I probably need to start doing some more stuff with my own team. So it really hit me on this one. So gonna make some changes.
Now, Frankie, would you like to share with everyone on the call right now the different things?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a...
Ma'am?
Frankie, would you like to share with the team here the different things that you were mentioning to me this week, or the different ideas that you're having that you might want to start doing with your team?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to do my school homework, and all I can think about is Plexus. But anyway, so I don't know. I've just been trying to figure out a way, because it seems like on my own personal people on my, you know, my friends list are, you know, they're paying attention. I'm getting hits here and there, but I just want something that's going to be catchy, that's going to grab, you know, their attention. So I decided that I'm going to start doing probably a weekly little testimony, you know, maybe 10, 15-minute testimony of, you know, different people every week, with like one product highlight for the week, and just change it every week, and have, you know, some of y'all lovely ladies can volunteer.
Sure. And I told you I would be the first one. And, you know, we're talking about Sideline coming in and doing it too. So if you might want to volunteer, you know, she'd be open for that. And you know what? You can put that, you can publish those on YouTube. You can post them on the Freedom page. And, you know, I'm going to comment on that, because I think it's powerful. On a bigger scale, Rock the Pink with Tim and Michelle Thomas. That's why they do stories every Monday night. Stories of successful ambassadors. They started that for their own team, because they felt that their team needed inspiration every single week. If other people can do it, why can't I do it? Look, that person's an introvert. Why can't I do it? I'm an introvert. Look, that person has no degree. Well, they're doing it. Why can't I do it? Look, that person over here is a hairstylist. They're doing it. Why can't I do it? So that, I think, is so important. And Frankie, I applaud you. You're very creative. And yes, absolutely, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to ask my team, you know, who on there wants to volunteer. Debbie. And, ma'am?
I said, that's fine. I'll do it.
You know.
And Tracy will do it too.
Yeah, I'm sure Tracy and JD will do it. So, you know, I got a few people that have some pretty good stories going on now, and I just really want to get people involved in on my team, because, you know, we all need to be involved with each other more, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's going to create collaboration and a team culture for sure. Family atmosphere.
I know I seem to have trouble like getting people on my own team, my level ones, to like talk to each other. They kind of do other sidelines, but like, I don't know. No one ever wants to, like, if I have a Zoom or something, it's like people can't make it. It's like they're not accountable. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like me, I want to be involved with everything and show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are they runners? Are they working the business?
Yeah, they're trying.
Are they all?
Yeah, one silver, but she kind of like comes and goes with it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Then.
And the other one,
go ahead,
is trying to get out of her fear. I think out of that comfort zone. You know, I try to encourage her, and And then she's like, well, then she works long 12-hour days. So then it's like, the time issue. But it's like me, I don't want to have any excuses. It's like, just do it.
Right. So what you're hearing then from them is people that are not all. Does anyone have a television?
Somebody's got a TV on or something that's really distracting.
Yeah, a television or a radio. Please turn it off or get away from it. It's on in the background. It's very distracting. Thank you, by the way, for doing that. So what was I going to say? It's still on. Who is listening to their television? So Kelly, you don't really have people that are real business builders yet, okay? So
right.
Sometimes it takes a year to 2 years to find those passionate, like think about you. You've got this level of passion and commitment and belief, and you don't have anybody like that on your team yet. So evaluate yourself. Do you have somebody that's just like you on your team? In your belief level and your commitment and your all in and your vision and all that? Not yet. You got to keep digging for those people. Just keep digging, okay?
Okay.
Find them.
It's like I don't want to give up on them, though. It's like I try to keep helping them, but it's like, getting them to come to meetings, or I can suggest things, but it's like, okay, like January for the Super Saturday. I mean, it's like everybody should go to that. That was like my big thing. I was all in right from Super Saturday. It was it, So it's like, but if you can't get people to get there,
They're not committed, Kelly. So you can't make people do something they don't want to do, whether it's take the products or share on Facebook or go and try to get a $500 check or try to get 5 customers, get their products paid for. You can't make people do something they don't want to do, right? So what you do is you have to be your own rock star. And this is a very common practice for anybody that's starting out, that's building a team. You're looking at your team and you're like, if I could just get them going. If I could just get them going, we would have a great thing going, right? But the fact is those people are not going to be the people that make the thing move. You're going to make the thing move. So you have to go find other people. And you're in the building stage. And until you find some business builders, you can't make people move that don't want to move. What you're doing is you're going to waste your precious time and your energy and your emotions on trying to make people that thing is going in the background, trying to make people do something that they don't want to do.
So, it's like I kind of feel like I'm giving up on them then.
No, you're not. It's that you went through the Maxwell training with me. Mm-hmm. It's the 80-20 rule. Let me ask you something, Kelly, and this is for everyone. Who is on your team that's constantly saying, Kelly, what do I do next? I just watched that video. I was really compelled by it. Here's what I learned. I really think that, what do you think if I do this, this, or this? And by the way, what's the next step that I should do? Do you have anybody that's doing that?
No.
You don't have any runners, honey. And I don't mean to call you honey. You don't deserve for me to call you honey. I do that with my students. I'm sorry. So you just need to find more people that are going to run with this and be excited. And you can't grow the dead. You can't resurrect the dead. These are people that are doing what they want to do. You can't make them do more. You can't inspire them to do more. You have to do the more. And so you go out and you be the rock star and you go out and find more people. Your number one goal is to recruit. You're not a gold ambassador. Even when you're a gold ambassador, your number one goal is to recruit. Even when you're a senior, when you're a Ruby ambassador, your number one goal is to recruit. You have to spend time with your team, train your team, develop your team, but you must personally recruit. You can't get these people to do it if you're not going to do it. And I'm not trying to put any kind of stipulations on you, but what I'm saying is your personal energy and your time and your emotions is so valuable. You only have so much of it. And if you're expending it all on these people that don't really want to do anything, then you're wasting your time and energy when you should be going over here and pouring into finding other people that want to do this.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I gave everything I could to help them. But if they, I don't know if they don't want to make the effort. I mean, I am moving to these people. I just want to make sure that I gave them everything that they could. You know what I mean?
Kelly, we have so many resources for people to plug into. Don't take it all on yourself.
Right.
People are plugged in. There's team pages. Suzanne leads this team with all of the resources. When they're ready, they'll plug in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't feel guilty about that or feel
Well, I'll
that
keep
you have
going.
the caretaker.
Yeah.
It's going to suck the life out of you.
Yeah, I am a caretaker, though. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, so I guess I'm like I'm the caretaker.
Well, we all care about people, and we take it personally. But we have such a great system. We can get people into Power Weeks. We have the Power Hour. We have Plexus 101. We have personal development. And like you can lead a horse to water.
Right.
So
Yeah.
don't take it so personally that you're responsible for all of their motivation. They've got to have it inside.
They have to have it inside of themselves. You can show them the way, but you can't make them do it. So you love on the 80% and you work with the 20% that's going for it. The problem is you don't have the 20% yet.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, can I recommend?
Yeah.
Can I recommend this book to you? I just have read it recently, and this is more of a personal thing. I love all that they're saying because I need to hear this, but it's called The Energy Bus, and I can't remember the name of the band, and it is a short, I wish I had the book close to me. It took me 2 nights, and I read it in 2 nights. I'm a quick reader, but that for you personally will understand that it helped me to understand I'm the driver of my bus. I invite people onto my bus. I can stop at what station I want to stop at and let them on that bus. And I decide that whole team culture that we talked about tonight goes right along with that. And you know what? It's nothing personal against anybody, but you're the driver. You decide. And that whole energy thing that Suzanne talked about, that goes right along with it. And back to what Suzanne had said earlier at the very beginning about praying for who's, reaching out to people. I mean, who's going to be on your team and really praying about that. I heard Helen McFadden today, and she said you do that partly because you don't want to waste other people's time and you don't want to waste your time and that whole energy again. And so I loved that book. I probably will read it again, but it's called The Energy Bus, and it just lets you know you're the driver. You get to decide.
I'm going to get that. I had that written down somewhere. I did hear about that, but I'm going to get that. Thank you, Kelly.
Christy White. Christy White recommended it. Yeah.
Okay, it was in one of her videos. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome,
I got it. Kelly.
That's where I got it.
Oh my gosh. Kelly, can I just say something right now? So proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud of you. You are just a new woman. You have changed. You've transformed. You will grow a massive team, Kelly. Do you believe me when I say that?
I do now, yeah. And I have this book right here that I'm reading. This is huge. Huge, 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 huge. If you do not have this book, get it. Sorry, I had to make a plug. I'm just telling you. You better get that book. It is.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to cry. I'm so proud of you. I'm writing these down myself. Do you know what you're doing? You're leading this team right now. Do you know that?
Well, I've had great people to follow. Let me just say
I
that.
love that you're leading the team right now. I love that. Switch on your brain. Awesome.
Yeah, it's by Dr. Carolyn. I'm sure it's backwards in here.
Carolyn
Lee.
Lee. Yeah.
This is awesome. It is an awesome book because it talks about how your thoughts literally change your brain and your just the physiological aspect of your body. And that blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like so proud of you. I love you so much. I'm just so proud of you. So proud of you. You're amazing.
Well, that's the culture you've
You're
created.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susie.
Mhm.
Suzanne, that's the culture you've created, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give him the credit. Mm.
Well,
I like this chapter because I find that I bounce between like management mode and going out. Like right now, I feel like I'm in recruiting mode.
Yes, you are.
But
Okay, for
but
you,
when I go into recruiting mode, the management mode, I find I like kind of turn off because I have Susie who does her own thing, and Susie's doing amazing and she's rocking it and she's doing her thing, and I'm trying to, get some other gals going, and it's like, okay, so if I'm doing one thing, I forget about the other, and then like I do this chapter and it's like, well, crap. Now I need to go back and pay attention to my page where I promote things and do things, because I don't want to feel like I've given up on my team, but my 80-20 is not where I want it to be. And it's just trying to find that balance. It's like,
I don't think
okay.
there's balance. I think there's harmony, but there's no balance.
Right. And trying to find that, between, the things I've had going on recently, and, it's just, I feel like this whole month I've been pulled in 3 different directions, and it's like, what the heck? I've got to figure out a way to find a balance. Right. And, I don't know.
Well, you're doing a great job, so I want you to believe in yourself on that. I mean, you've just been sponsoring. You've got runners like crazy on, Susie, by the way, is her big runner on her team right now. But Lori is sponsoring other people outside of Susie that are working the business, that are committed, that have signed up to do the 21 Laws with me. And I am thrilled about that. We just signed up one last night. We were literally on a Zoom with a girl that she met on a garage sale site. And we literally were live on a Zoom signing her up. Like I was on my computer talking to her. Her picture was in my screen, and I was on my computer signing her up, and she was telling me the stuff like we were talking. Could be on the phone, but we were on the Zoom. I mean, it's the first time I've ever done that. But I mean, literally, that's what we did. We Zoomed with her, and she's like, let's go.
Wow.
I'm telling you,
Lori,
3-way calls, guys. 3-way calls, 3-way Zooms. 3-way chats. You gotta get that third-party validation going. That is where it's at. It's where it's at.
Yeah. Lori, did you meet her before?
No. I would not know her if I met her on the street.
Wow.
I literally garage sale site 2 months ago. I want to buy these products. Let me research it. Let me get back to you. She never got back to me. I touched base with her just as a follow-up, like a couple of weeks ago. Crickets. I posted last week a post about how Suzanne had retired, Christine and Kelly had retired. It was when Kelly got her Lexus.
Mm-hmm.
She was first comment, how do I do this? What do I do?
Wow.
I was like, okay, all right. And so I said, Suzanne, I've got this chick. I said, let's go. And so we've been working with her. She's had some personal things going on. And so she messaged me last night and she said, I don't need the sales pitch. I know I'm doing this. Just,
wow.
I want to talk to the both of you, and we're signing up. And that's exactly what she did.
Wow. So it was
like,
just private message. It was just like basically private message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just following up in private messaging, and then you know, the 3-way calls, she was like, I don't need the sales pitch because I know I'm signing up. I know I'm doing this business.
Right.
I just want to sign up. She's went on vacation today. When she gets back, she's diving in full force.
You know, one
So
of the things that
she wanted to do the 3-way.
she did.
What's that?
She did.
Yeah, because I have 4 people that I'm PMing with back and forth, but I don't have their actual phone numbers. I'm friends with them on Facebook, so I'm trying to just, build that relationship and stuff.
Get them in a 3-way chat. That's what I do. As soon as we start talking, I say, would you mind? And and if they say, hey, sure, I'm fine with that, or it was, literally the whole fortunates and the follow-up, I've been in like this massive follow-up mode, just follow up.
Right. One thing though, and comment about how you follow up. I've seen how you follow up because you have me in these 3-way chats. I've seen how you talk to these people. Even in the chatting, you are connecting with them. You're showing them that you care about them. You're adding value. Lori knows how to do that. That is something that comes natural to her. She doesn't have to cultivate that skill. Lori naturally is a caretaker of people. She naturally loves people more than she loves herself. She is very self-sacrificing to a fault, I have to say, because that's the negative end of it. But the positive end of it is that people feel cared about. They feel loved. They feel taken care of. Lori has a way of caretaking for people. And if you can develop whatever it is your style of loving people and showing them how much that you care about them and doing it in a genuine way, that is connecting, and that is more important. You'll make a sale eventually, but that can't be your first goal. Your first goal has to be showing people how much you care. I say it over and over. But Lori, that is the finesse that you have. I just have to, just applaud you in that. It's the truth. Truth. Susie's nodding her head. Okay, we are at an hour and 40 minutes.
Oops.
And I should have stopped recording a while back. Does anyone else want to say something else before we sign off?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tomorrow is the Power 101. So the Plexus 101 tomorrow night, 8:00 beyond. I'm also going to be posting during the day several times. Be looking out for that. Next week, we're going to do the last 2 chapters that we didn't do this week. We'll finish up. We'll be done. And we'll start the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth on the 3rd week of September. And this is going to be incredible. So get ready. It's going to be amazing.
Just bought it on Kindle tonight.
Yeah. And Kelly's books, those look amazing. I'm going to go get those on Kindle for sure. So, because they're cheaper on Kindle for sure.
Thank you, Suzanne. It
Well
was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Good night.
Good night.